What's up, my men? I hope you all had a good Christmas and holiday season. I made an overview of my watch collection back in November, and now that we're past Christmas, I've had a chance to tweak and add to the collection, so I wanted to circle back and revisit the collection as it stands today. I also wanted to say thanks for all the support, comments, and subscribers from that last video. It really popped off, and I appreciate the early Christmas present, my men. I also want to say thanks with upcoming subscriber giveaways, so please stay till the end to hear more. Alright, so there are two major changes to the collection since last time. The first and most apparent difference is the addition of the two Casio 2100s, also known colloquially as Casioaks. These were both gifted to me by my parents for Christmas, and they look absolutely nasty, in a good way of course. The black and silver Casioak will probably be my daily driver for the foreseeable future, since it goes with just about anything, looks absolutely disgusting, and is a resilient old dog. My current daily driver is an even split between the Casio W217H and the Citizen Weekender Field Watch. My qualms with these timepieces as daily drivers are that the W217H dresses down many of my business casual outfits and fails to communicate a certain level of professionalism. The Citizen Field Watch doesn't have this problem, but it does lack any of the features of a digital watch like a digital readout, stopwatch, timer, and it also wears a little small. By comparison, the black and silver Casioak matches my business casual style perfectly. It goes with my outfits, it wears large enough to communicate my power and formidability, and it's just a legit, robust, utilitarian, and good-looking piece. It's also worth noting that I much prefer working out in Casioaks compared to the Citizen Field Watch or other field watches thanks to the silicone strap, the digital readout, stopwatch and timer, and the fact that I'm less worried about scratching the metal or crystal on the Casio compared to those field watches. Now, I'll probably wear the white oak a bit less since it's more casual and may not go with as many of my outfits, but I'll still wear it very often because it just looks gross. And I mentioned working out, and while I might work out with both of these on occasion, I'm particularly looking forward to using the white Casioak for working out, since the utility and the casual look fit the application impeccably. Now, I'm usually not the most fashionable young man, but I think the white oak coupled with a pair of white workout shoes like these Dwayne The Rock Johnsons really pops. And listen, I'll be the first to say that the G-Shocks do look big next to the other watches in the box, but in my first week of wearing them, they really don't feel that way, man. I'm a small man with a 6 3/4 inch wrist or 170mm wrist, and I don't think these watches look out of place at all on my wrist, but please let me know in the comments if you think that I'm dead wrong. To be honest, my men, I think the Casioaks actually look less out of place on my wrist than my 43mm budget Casio Diver, and I think part of that is just that the Casioak is a look of its own. So where the Casio Diver looks big for a diver, the Casioak looks right because it has its own style. So I think these are both really fantastic additions to my collection without too much overlap, and they'll serve me well for many years. Both of these dudes will probably be alive and kicking decades from now, my man, and G-Shock is just great. Shout out to moms and pops. Alright, so we looked at the first big change to the collection, which was the addition of the Casioaks. Now the second big difference since last time is that I swapped out the bands on several of these old busters. On the Citizen Weekender, I removed the abysmal stock green nylon strap and replaced it with a nylon NATO strap from Amazon. I made this change mainly because the loops were too far apart on the stock strap, so the adjustability was very poor. Also, the stock strap wore a bit stiff. Now, this new black and red strap was a little too thick for my liking, so I cut off the end that made it a NATO strap, I sealed the edges with fire, and I made this into a pretty palatable setup. It's not technically a NATO strap anymore, but I think it wears much better since I cut off the end. That may not have been necessary on a larger watch, but on a relatively small watch with a 37mm case width and an 18mm lug-to-lug width, the overlapping straps and additional loops just wore way too big and looked off. I really like the black and red because it matches the black dial and the red secondhand perfectly, but once in a while I change out the strap for this green NATO strap or this black and gold NATO strap if I want to match a particular outfit or go for a different look on any given day. In general, I've become a big fan of these NATO straps, man, because they're cheap, comfortable, and really quick and easy to swap out colors to fit your outfit or mood. Just great stuff. And while we were talking about NATO strap conversions, I also took the standard stainless steel band off my Silvertone Invicta Pro Diver and replaced it with a NATO strap. I think this black and gold really fits the watch well, and I think NATO straps work well in general on the Invicta because the problem with Invicta is that they try to imitate nicer watches like the Submariner, which they obviously can't do, and by putting the NATO straps on the Invicta, you're dropping the aim down from business or business casual down closer to casual or low business casual, which is really where an Invicta watch can live without taking itself too seriously. But again, please let me know in the comments if you think this is a brain dead take or if you think that this Invicta can't be saved. And while I'm optimistic about the Silvertone Invicta providing at least some utility going forward, I haven't done anything about the dreadful Invicta Bluey Submariner copy. I've briefly thought about getting a striped navy and gold NATO strap, but that's really a particular look with limited range. The tough thing about the two-tone is that I'm much more limited on color choices without making the watch look strange. Also, I don't think a solid NATO strap would help much since I don't think it dresses the watch down like a striped band would. I might be off base here, so again, let me know in the comments if I'm tripping or if I'm partially zooted. Alright, now there's no change with the blue dial budget Casio Diver. Like my Timex Weekender Field Watch, it's just clinging on for now. It doesn't get worn much, and it may or may not get replaced in the short or medium term, but I'll talk more about that later. Now, I did make a change with the Ridgeline Denali. I swapped out the leather NRA band for a black, gold, and silver colored NATO strap, which makes this watch a bit more comfortable and adds a bit of flair. I also use this NATO strap when I wear the silver dial budget Casio dress watch. I talked about this dress watch in the previous video and mentioned the terribly fake and cheap pleather band. That strap was a hamburger, and I'm extremely glad it's gone, though the NATO strap is obviously not a great fit for a dress watch. Long term, I think a nice leather band could really deceive some folks into thinking that this is a decent timepiece. Now, I don't know much about what constitutes a good or a bad leather watch band, so if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments. And that rounds out everything new with the collection. The Fitbit Versa 2 showcases 0 stees, it never gets worn, and it's due to have its slot taken by a non-smartwatch any day now. So with that, we've talked about the new Casioaks, we talked about the new straps. Now what's next for the collection? I got a ton of great recommendations and learned a lot from your guys' comments on my original watch collection video, and in general, I think my biggest gaps right now are a nice dress watch, a chronograph, and a better diver. On the diver front, I think the Silvertone Invicta is salvageable, but the Bluey Invicta is a dumbass stooge and it might be time for it to go. In its place, I really like the look of Longines brownish Spirit Zulu time with the anthracite dial, which I think would be capable as both a nice daily driver in the office and would also be able to be dressed up for occasions that warrant a suit and tie. The brown Spirit Zulu would be pretty filthy for me because I usually wear earthy tones like browns, blues, greens, and some grays. So it would be a splendid color match for my wardrobe dog. It would also dip my toes in the waters of mechanical watches. Now, on the dress watch front, I've been looking pretty heavily at Casio Oceanus watches because I like the idea of getting sapphire crystal, a titanium case, low profile case, excellent finishing throughout, radio time control, quick time zone changing, and Casio reliability all without breaking the bank. So I'm mainly leaning towards an Oceanus S100, which would be in the $400 range, but if I don't go that route, I'm also thinking about a Victorinox Alliance or an Orient Bambino, my man. And on the chronograph front, I've been looking a bit at various Seiko and Citizen options on Joma Shop. My leading candidates right now would probably be one of the Citizen Tsukiyomi Moonphase chronographs or one of the many Seiko chronographs. The Citizen Moonphase watches look absolutely putrid. I'm just slightly worried that the 43mm case might look too big on my teeny tiny little wrist. Please do let me know what you think. If you're a small man like me, have you had any issues with chronographs looking too big all up on your wrists, man? Now, I'm also looking at some of the newer Casio Oceanus chronographs, and I think the finishing on the 7000 series Oceanus chronos looks gnarly, man. Especially on the 7000D, which has black diamond-like coating, with the way the dark blue dial and bezel have a nice sheen. Alright, so with that, the Invicta Abomination will probably be out, the Casio Diver might be out, the Casio Dress Watch will probably be upgraded, and the Versa will probably be out. A new chrono will eventually be in, a nicer dress watch like an Oceanus or an Orient Bambino will be in, and I might eventually get a real nice diver like a Longines. Or maybe I'll just get an Orient Kamasu or something in that ballpark. Anyway, if you guys think my vision is foolish, please let me know by commenting or dropping a thumbs down and subscribing. By the way, I'm planning to do subscriber giveaways when we hit 500 and 1,000 subs. I don't have concrete plans yet, but it'll probably be new watches dear to me similar to my Casios, and there may or may not be a G-Shock or two. Also, there may be some brome grass mugs in the mix. So if you're interested or you enjoyed the content, please do drop a like and subscribe. Peace out, my men!